Participants
and
can
welcome
scratch.
back to another Minecraft
I hope you shut Also, my computer's trying to do so much right now. I just realized I have CFUs running still.
Oh no!
I have recording going. I'm trying to convert the meeting, the last meeting, into audio and video.
Just killing your computer.
So I'm here with Brennan. We've been friends since just about the first grade.
Hello.
And we've been in band together since fifth grade all the way up until senior year. And I'm also here with my other friend, Dalen.
Hello.
Just about the same situation. Played band with him all the way up until senior year, starting at the fifth grade. Did we meet third grade or second grade? Second grade. We were at the same table.
Second grade. Yeah.
All right. And we're going to be talking about music education and how it's affected them up until now and how it's going to continue affecting them as they've chosen different paths on how to engage music as they continue their studies. Brennan has actually gone to ASU. He is a mechanical engineer major, something.
I'm an aerospace engineer major.
Okay, aerospace engineering. And Dalen is at the U of A doing.
Yeah. I'm doing jazz studies right now, but I plan to switch to composition.
Okay, perfect. So my first question for you guys is, what made you start music in the first place? Like, I know you guys took classes and all that fun stuff and you did outside activities, but what made you pick up an instrument that like one day in fifth grade?
The genesis. Well, I had been kind of sick of school in fifth grade. I passed with C's, and then it was the same story for sixth grade and the beginning of seventh grade.
Right.
In fifth grade, I played saxophone first, but I didn't like the teacher, so I quit. Figured band wasn't for me, moved on. And in seventh grade, I'm like, hey, I want to play the guitar. So I got my dad got me a guitar for Christmas, and then here comes Chris Constantine, the band director at Corona Foothills, and he said, why don't you join the jazz band? And it really just sparked my curiosity. It gave me a reason to go to school. My grades got better. It really, if you want to be dramatic, it saved my life, right? Probably wouldn't be in college if I didn't have music.
That's great. Honestly, it was a similar thing for me. Like fifth grade, I had fifth grade was bad for me. I'll talk about that in a minute. But Brennan, what made you want to start music to begin with?
So for me, it was my parents probably, because I was extremely young when they put me into piano lessons, and then from there it was kind of easy to pick up supplementary instruments like trombone. So that's kind of how I did it, but I continued to stay with it because it helped motivate me to go to school, and it was just a big reason for why I wanted to be there, and it was a big part of who I was back then. So yeah.
God, I'm doing it. Oh my God, I'm doing it again. I'm sorry. No, for me, music started off as just something I wanted to do, I didn't have any reasons. My parents never told me to do it. Honestly, I feel like if I had to choose a reason why I started music, it'd probably be because Eli Stinger started playing the trumpet as well.
No way.
Yeah. And we were best friends at the time. So it was like a no-brainer. But yeah, so you guys both started music young. Dalen, you started music out of your own volition. Brennan, you started music because of your parents. How do you guys think that affected you in school? You guys said it helped you out in school. You said you wouldn't be in college without it. Brennan, you said it just motivated you. How did it affect your schoolwork?
Because of the ever prevalent and relevant rule that you can't do band if your grades are below a 3.0 GPA. And so I had to keep it up. And so I found out that I actually liked, studying. I liked being an academic, if you will.
Yeah. I think for me, it's it's kind of hard to find a balance because a little bit of music like helps your grades and helps motivates you, but like when you get like almost too involved, it can be too much of a like time consumer, and it can actually start hindering your grades.
Yeah.
Which is what started happening to me, especially towards the later parts of my high school career
No,
and
sorry.
earlier too. No, go
I
ahead.
feel that because I'm sorry, my roommate is playing with his door-mounted basketball hoop. Um, I feel that because like freshman year, I didn't really have great time management. Obviously, I barely have time management now, but trying to balance those Monday night rehearsals with like any class I had was for sure a struggle.
Yeah.
But I feel like I never wanted to be ineligible. Like I never wanted to be the guy who was sitting on the uh bench while everyone marched, just holding my instrument, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
You know? So
I think another thing that's relevant is that both Brennan and I were in TJI, and I think we had similar experiences because TJI was a very all or nothing program, to put it lightly.
Yeah, it was very, very intense. Some
we
some
sleep.
days for me, especially during a time where it was owned by a different person. Some of the hours that I was seeing
Yeah.
there was like 10 to 7 o'clock at night on Sundays and Tuesdays, and that was
Jeez.
so much time, like a lot of time that's just dedicated to music and playing the trombone. And that affected me physically because at some point, like playing the trombone for that many hours like affects your like it affects your face like in a very physical way, and it also affects your mentality about it because you feel like you're forced to be there. And I don't know, it's you have to it's definitely, you have to find a right balance.
Right. And especially like you said, it's on Tuesdays. You're coming off of that uh late night Monday night rehearsal for marching band, staying up to
Right.
like 10 p.m. and then doing it again the next night, playing the same instrument.
Yeah.
And you guys
Yeah.
both did a lot
A
of
lot.
music classes, especially like in the end of high school.
Mhm.
Because I know you were in marching band 0, symphonic second, jazz third,
Yeah.
and then you had a fourth period and went home.
Yeah. I was doing mostly I was doing mostly band classes for my senior year. It was I only had like 2 core classes during that time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
that was what I liked though. So I I stick with that. I don't regret doing that
but
very much.
talking about like how many music classes each of us had, um, how did like when you have all those music classes, you make music friends.
Right.
And I know we mostly became close friends because of band. I know a bunch of our friends from high school are because of band. How do you think band affected you guys in like the long run with your relationships?
Oh, well, most of all the friends I had and have today like came from band. Like I don't think I really have met anyone like outside of that. It's a very like inclusive, like tight knit program over there. And I think it definitely helps, like especially someone who's like not very sociable like I am. It really was like a good way to meet people.
Yeah. Dylan, I know you're still in marching band and you have mainly music classes now. Like, is that how you made most of your friends in
Yeah,
college
when
too?
you join marching band in high school, they tell you that these are people that you're going to be, friends with, talking to for the rest of your life, and they tell you the same thing in the Pride. Being in drumline, we're certainly tight knit. It's like it's probably the tightest section in the band, if I could say that.
Honestly, yeah, probably.
Yeah, and it's
Even in just like high school marching band.
Yeah, it's a perseverance thing because you have these, 60, 70 pound drums on and your back hurts and everybody's back hurts. So
Yikes.
it's just a get through it. You just gotta get through it.
Yeah, forget what I said about the trombone being like physically challenging. Like,
Yeah.
can't even imagine that.
Well, yeah, no, that argument has its merits because while I wasn't in the same ensembles as Brennan, I was holding close to the same hours with my um, jobs that I had taken up. Like I was captain my senior year. Um, I was in TJI for 3 years. I mean, it really takes a toll on your hands, but it's
Right.
like as long as you find, at least for percussion, as long as you find a way to, like you really look at your technique and you find a way to be efficient with it, then you can do whatever you need to.
Right. And I don't know. I didn't feel as much of that double-edged sword as you guys because I was mainly, especially after COVID, I pretty much dropped most of my like out of school music programs. So I didn't really get all of it, but being the uh high brass section leader and joining symphonic late, having to practice for all the music I didn't get to rehearse in class, just I started learning the French horn at home by myself. So I felt like a lot of my time was being taken up for music. And for a while I did see my grades slip just a little bit because it was like something that had helped me in school so much had just started becoming such a hassle for me. But then again, also being able to see my friends every day, getting to do what I love to do, hang out with you guys. Like some of my best memories aren't even like at school. It's on like the bus to a competition or at Denny's afterwards, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So I feel like it has a positive effect until you like until you make it that like your whole thing. Why would you do that? Go
Yeah.
to bed.
I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. I'm nowhere close to a bed.
Oh my
But
god, there's monsters in my butt.
speaking to the double speak right now, why would you do that? You know, why would you take the 10-hour thing? And for me personally, it is a fervent need and a fervent belief that if I keep at it, I can, legitimately change the world. Call me delusional.
Yeah.
At least one person I can help out with it. If you play a solo and it helps one person out, it makes them feel better, or you play a gig and it makes somebody relax, you've done your job.
Oh, I actually love that. And speaking of solos, Dalen, you were probably the best drummer at Cienega. You're still probably the best drummer that ever played at Cienega. Brennan, you're probably the best. What I don't know, trombonist.
Did you forget what instrument I played for a second?
I just don't know how to like. Drummer has drummer, trombone,
Trombist.
bonus.
Oh yeah, no, trombones. Oh my god.
Boner. Anyways,
Wow. Let's blaze past that.
I'm so sorry. It's so hard to talk about.
okay. When we were playing together, you guys were the best of like the best.
Mhm.
And you guys got plenty of solos. And people looked up to you in the band. Like Brandon was brass captain, you were drum captain. How did that affect you and like your relationships with people? Because
Oh,
like
okay.
for me personally, being the section leader, literally just the section leader, it felt like sometimes I had to separate myself from being like a friend and like enjoying this part of enjoying this part of my life. Sorry, Brendan almost blew up a creeper in my face. Instead of enjoying this part of life, I was like having to take on the role of like a boss, or like, honestly, I say it a lot, like an older brother type figure,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, I feel the same way.
But
That's
I felt like these people looked up to me. And so I had to like prove myself as being worthy of being looked up to.
yeah, even like even that can be said like from a musical standpoint as well. You definitely felt that pressure to play a lot better, especially in front of them, because you don't want to like you want to meet their expectations of you as a player. If that makes
Exactly.
any sense.
He is the type of personality that, you just need to get over it. You just need to toughen up, and that my sophomore year, I was marching tenors for the first time. That mentality led me to go to a physical therapist, and they're like, you might need back surgery. And that was kind of a life-changing perspective of like, wow, I'm a sophomore. I'm going to need back surgery. My back is never going to be the same if I don't stop this now. Right. So I figured out the problem. I grew some muscle. I put some weight on, but it was something that I could prevent if I was captain. I could be like, all right, we're taking a water break now. And that ended up working out really well because Mr. Vega stopped showing up to practices because he thought that I got it. Like I was handling business. So we got more breaks. We got more opportunities to like relax and not have 60-pound drums on for hours and hours and hours at a time. Like it wasn't such a brutal experience, and I feel like I made a difference, and that makes me happy.
And I know you've talked to Taylor, but just like seeing how that paid off for like, because they just won the percussion caption at their
Yeah.
last competition. So, and I feel like we all noticed a big improvement in just like the general sound of like Pitt, the skill of your players, and like how much they enjoyed band. Because like I feel like if you ask some of the past players, they were like, oh yeah, it was awful, it was so much work, yada yada yada. But if you go back and ask like Taylor, Saren, if we look at them and like how excited they were to be part of Pitt, and how Taylor is like carrying on that legacy of like, I don't want to overwork you guys, I want you to enjoy being here. Like, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel great, especially since I had some big shoes to fill with Chase Williams, Justice's brother, being, the poster boy section leader, like, because he essentially ran the band when he was captain, and it's all about lasting effect. And I just died again. It's all about lasting effect, because if you can't make a system that works and that can continue working, then there was no reason to try and make the system in the first place.
Right.
And so as a section leader, you see a problem, you fix it.
Yeah.
Brendan, how did that? Oh, sorry. I think you were literally about to answer the question I was going to ask. Go ahead.
No. Ask the question because I kind of forgot.
I was going to ask, did you experience any of that being brass captain, being in charge of not only the like trombones, but like you were technically in charge of me. You were in charge of like everything that happened with the brass. So that's tubas, trumpets, trombones, baritones, mellophones, everything. So how did that affect you and like the friends you made in band, especially later?
Yeah, so it was definitely a lot harder to make new friends, like especially like in a leadership position. Being like a leader in band like was definitely like prevented a lot of friendships, but like it didn't prevent the making of like new relationships like in general, because I feel like I made a lot of new like acquaintances in band with people who I felt like we had a mutual respect for, but it wasn't to the level that was like I would consider like a friend,
Yeah. Like,
so yeah.
Like how our relationship with like Olivia, Ashley, and Gina are.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Just like someone who kind of looks up to you, but doesn't it's not someone who you would like go to if you had a problem or something.
Exactly. And while being a leader, definitely, it honestly helped me make some of those positions with the other leaders, like me and Grace becoming friends. Like we weren't really that close before. Honestly, it kind of participated to the downfall of mine and David's friendship, but it also led to my friendship with Casey. It helped my friendship with Taylor Olivia and Kiarly, like I feel like there's two sides to the coin. Like with the lower members of the band, like just regular players, it was hard to separate being in charge and like it was hard mastering being like balancing being in charge of them while also being their friend.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And I think that's why it was hard. Like I know us and David kind of had a fallout, but a large part of that might have been because like we were all in different leadership positions, you know, because it's so hard to be friends with someone while also like being in a leadership position that's supposed to like kind of like that's a higher rank, I should say, like in the marching band.
yeah.
Hierarchy.
Yeah, exactly. So
And that's something Mr. Knox talked about all the time, like the hierarchy of the
Exactly.
band.
right.
It's like because our problems would filter. I feel like it helped me and you bond, and even like me and
Mhm.
Dalen bond, because if there was a problem with them, I was supposed to give it to you guys.
Right.
And then so like it was almost like I could confide in you about what was going on, and you guys understood, and then you would take it to Casey and Casey, David, and Grace, and then such and such. But they never did the same
Right.
for us. Like we never got the problems that they were facing, you know.
Yeah.
So
The nice thing about being in a leadership position is that with with a teacher like Mr. Knox, sometimes you can just screw the hierarchy. I'm gonna go talk to Mr. Knox about this thing that's going on, and he welcomes it because he likes to know what's going on in his band.
Right.
exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
And being in a leadership position, you have to be him. You have to be that guy. You know. And
I
it's
thought you were talking about being Mr. Knox. I was like,
no,
I would
yeah,
say
you gotta
that.
be him. You gotta be him.
Him.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think that's what separates a good music teacher from a bad one, right?
Yeah.
Because you
He-
want
He didn't
wanna
dismiss our
be-
problems.
Right, exactly.
He realized that if you are going to be a section leader for the right reasons, then it's going to work out, you know.
When I actually, the fact that you say that, it's even like Mr. Knox, before I became the section leader, I kept asking him, I was like, can I be section leader? Can I have this title? And he's like, well, you already do the responsibilities of a section leader. And I was like,
Exactly.
yeah. And so he asked me, so why does the title matter anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
And like, it just shows how a good teacher can like change. Cause like, if we're going to talk about teachers, let's start with Mr. Constantine.
Yeah.
Like my opinion of Mr. Constantine and Dalen's opinion of Mr. Constantine are
Very
completely
different.
opposite.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Dalen and Mr. Constantine were like peanut butter and jelly, you know?
Yeah.
And then I don't really care for Mr. Constantine or like
Yeah.
the way he taught class. So it's just like, it's not about how good the teacher is, it's how well they can connect to you personally.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, did any of us really, I know you and Mr. Matt were really close, Brennan. Do you
Mhm.
still have his personal phone number?
That's yeah, but it's not like we talk on
Yeah,
a
but like
regular
just saying
basis.
like his respect for you and like your ability to become a better musician because of that. And the same thing with you and Mr. Constantine Dalen. I had that same effect with Mr. Knox.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was someone I could connect to, I could relate to, and that pushed me to be a better musician.
Yeah.
So, and because of them pushing us to be better in like the music class, it made me realize that I wanted to be better all around. So I started taking what I was learning from Mr. Knox and applying it to like friendships I made in class or like people I talked to outside of class. And I know that was a big selling point for Mr. Knox. He was like, I'm not saying this because I want you to do this or like because I want you in trouble. I'm saying this because I want you to be good people. I remember he would say that all the time.
Yep.
Like when me and Brennan were I was fussy with Brennan over like basically nothing, just like power struggle. He sat me, him, and Kyle down and was like, you guys are grown ass men.
Yeah.
So that was just something that, his teaching style and like, because like, Dalen, tell me about Mr. Constantine, you and Mr. Constantine.
Yeah. So me and Mr. C, I actually went and he broke his leg recently, and I actually went and arranged his classroom over the summer for classes to start.
Snow.
It's like we're friends now. It's super weird. I think it's also because I'm a percussionist, you know, and he's like, you should do percussion. And looking back, I think that's because I don't know if he saw something. I don't want to be, that egotistical, but I feel like he could help some people out better if it was on an instrument that he understood the best.
Because he told us that all the time. Like he could not really offer much help to the brass players like me and Brennan.
Yeah.
Right.
And explain that relationship between you and Mr. Matt again, because you guys played the same instrument and that had an effect on how he was able to relate to you?
Yeah, yeah. I had a lot of respect for the way Mr. Matt like kind of handled class and taught like music in general. I feel like in a way he was like one of the only music teachers that pushed me just enough, but didn't like strain me and make me like grow tired of music, you know?
Right. Like push you, but didn't break you.
Exactly. So in that way I had a lot of respect for him, and I feel like he had a lot of respect for me, knowing like all of the extracurricular music classes I was taking. Um and he knew that I was passionate for music, and he was also passionate for music. So I think that's in a lot of ways how we clicked. Uh, but I don't know. I feel like that's really what makes a good like music teacher, is someone who like doesn't who is strict just to a point that it doesn't hinder
hurt you?
your yeah.
And like who motivates you for like a future in music too.
Exactly. Yeah.
And speaking of future in music, we've been in college for almost 3 months now.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
Yep.
Well over 2 months.
Hello.
Sorry, I cut out for a second. So we've been in school for over 2 months. And so you're able to look back on the entirety of like your pre-college music lifestyles. Do you guys like how much music played into your lives, or would you say you wished it was a little less?
I know it's physically impossible, but I wish I did it more. It's just a need.
Just live inside of the drum.
Yep.
To be honest, right now though, I'm kind of happy with where music like is for me right now.
Mhm.
It's more of like a hobby. Right now I play the piano and I play the trombone only when I want to. I don't feel like it's something I have to do anymore. I just feel like it's something like I want to do because I'm passionate about it.
Right.
But in the future, if I wanted to join a music class at ASU, I think that might be something I can do just to get myself like started in music again. But as for right now, like I feel like I'm taking this time like as a break, because I just got really burnt out doing so much music throughout uh my high school career. So
Mhm.
this is just like me defusing from all of that, and I'm kind of like kind of refinding my passion for it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dalen, I know I just asked you and you said you were like,
How music affected you in the past. How has your relationship with music changed since you started college? I know Dalen, like I said, is studying music and you've moved on to engineering,
Mhm.
but
Well, I think um, in the beginning of college, I was more comfortable with jazz.
mhm,
So I went into a jazz major. Like I knew all my professors, I had friends in the jazz program. But that's not the point. The point of going to college and spending $12,000 a year is to learn something,
right.
right? So I'm probably going to be transferring to composition next year.
Right.
It's classical percussion, classical music is a foreign world to me. And I'm in the percussion studio at the U of A, but it's hard to get into, and I think the challenge will be worth it because what I want to end up doing is scoring for films and
Right.
video games. Yeah.
Like
Oh,
that
that'd be really cool.
video game thing you did with the, what was it? Battlefront 2?
Yeah. I actually
Yeah.
had a summer class this past summer where Berklee College of Music in Boston was hosting in LA, and we went to the Warner Brothers studios, and it was a great time.
And Brennan, for you, you've moved to engineering. You say you only play when you want to.
Mhm.
How has your relationship with music changed? Like,
For me, it was definitely a very sudden shift. I was going from playing for hours and hours a day to playing almost nothing a day, right? So my I still have the same passion about music. So in that sense, it hasn't really changed that much. But in terms of like how often I'm playing, it's not even a comparison. And honestly, I feel like I appreciate like musicians a little more now that I've stopped playing and I'm taking a break now, because I'm realizing like how much of a toll like playing music that often can really be on you, you know?
The stress.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I know when I came to college, I was like, that's it. I don't play the trumpet anymore.
Mhm.
But it only took like a month without it before I realized that it's a part of me, you know?
exactly. Yeah.
Like you don't play music for what, 9 years?
Mm-hmm.
And then just quit cold turkey. Like
Right.
Exactly.
it stays in you, like the desire to make something.
Yeah. I feel the exact same way.
So, but yeah. Brennan, do you think about like ever playing gigs? Or I know you said joining a music class, but would you join like one of the on-campus symphony classes, or would you join
I
like a club?
I would definitely do symphony music. I'm not sure if I'm quite ready to go back to
Jazz?
jazz gigs, but just because it's just a totally different like level of stress
Yeah.
like in jazz, I feel like. And I'm not sure if that's just my experience with it, since I did have some not necessarily great teachers in that field. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just like where I'm at, like in a headspace like regarding that topic. But I definitely think I could rejoin, and I would want to rejoin like a symphony here at ASU, and definitely get back into it that way.
Do you think you'll ever do gigs again? Because I know this class is for English. My English teacher says he plays at, I think, one of the bars
At the
around
Nash.
here. At the Nash.
At the net.
And he's
I'm-
a teacher full time, you know?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe in the future I'll feel less anxiety like around especially small style like combo like gigs where everyone is pretty much expected to do solos, and everyone is expected to play a certain way and to a certain caliber. I'm maybe in the future I could consider something like that, but definitely not right now.
Good to take a
can't-
break.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were saying you were burnt out, and
Yeah.
reignite that passion you had.
Yeah. And similar to you,
Absence makes the
I
heart grow fonder.
yeah, exactly.
Kind of similar to you, Aiden. I also had a um very strong case of stage fright, and although like I'm not even sure if any of you guys like really know that.
I actually, this is the first, we've been friends for 12 years, it's 13 years, and this is the first time I've ever heard that. So
Yes, I have very, very bad stage fright, especially when playing alone in the
yeah,
crowd.
that's what it is for me.
Exactly. Which is why I was more lenient towards like symphony playing over jazz playing. But the reason why I'm kind of like veering off of like joining jazz is because the cure for, or the quote unquote cure for my stage fright was more exposure.
Mhm.
And that just didn't work for me. Like I would be forced to play solos in front like of large audiences, and
Yeah, you play 1,000
My
bad
peers.
solos before you play a good one.
right,
Yeah.
that mentality was
Yep.
was basically imposed on me like for years and years and years. And like I know that kind of works for other people, but for me that stage fright really never went away.
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot of almost trauma associated with that now, because of just like constant like being constantly put in an uncomfortable environment, and
Yeah.
that I didn't really have a choice to like almost like leave. I can't I was forced to take solos and forced to like do all these things that were uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, because especially since you were like, you were the principal player in almost
Mhm.
every single, I'm trying to think of the word for like orchestra, I guess. No,
Jazz band or
what do you call like a band, but fancily?
oh
A symphony orchestra,
Oh,
an ensemble.
ensemble. That's it. You were the
Ensemble.
principal player in almost every ensemble you were a part of.
Mhm.
So it's like, did you ever feel this like expectation? Same for you, Dalen. Like,
Oh, absolutely. Like there was absolutely an expectation for you to play at a specific caliber, and it was extremely hard for me to do that like very consistently
Yeah.
because of my heart, like my serious stage fright.
Yeah.
So it was just like not a very
Watching
fun-
a creeper freeze to death. Stuck in powdered snow. Oh, it's fine. Oh, no, fell into powdered snow again.
But to the same extent, like that's what I liked about Mr. Matt, because he would never force me to do anything that I was uncomfortable with, you know?
And I think
He
it was the same with Mr. Knox for me.
Right.
Because
Because
that-
he even talked to you like the day that you were auditioning for solos. I remember that he talked to you afterwards, after he saw that it was extremely uncomfortable for you, like taking that solo. I remember him talking to you. Do you want to talk about that a little?
yeah, because like he wanted me to play. And at first I told him I could, and then I had to like backtrack and be like, I'm sorry. I thought it would be okay, but I just can't do it. Especially on trumpet, because I was no longer very familiar with trumpet. I'm a horn player through and through at this point. Love the French horn, love the mellophone, and the baritone. God, I love the baritone. But yeah. So it's just a different experience, you know. Also, Dalen,
Mhm.
you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't have a similar. Well, I did start with a similar stage fright. I think everybody starts
I
with
just
that, but
I keep thinking of literally last Friday, not last Friday, the Friday before, you going crazy at the game.
What was that?
I was because Jesse was doing the cadence you see on TikTok all the time, where like they cover their eyes.
Jig two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I biffed the first. There's a good example. I still have some stage fright, but most of the time I can just turn it off. If I know the music, like even if I get scared, it's like I've practiced it so much that I can just turn off, play it, be done. But I don't know jig two because we never played it. So I just started hitting drums and I stopped. I'm like, and then I wanted a redemption and we went back at it. And I just played one of my solos for the Pride, our tenor feature, and it worked out. So,
Yeah, and it sounded great. And like I think of this, and I think of how I deal with this in school as well, like group presentations.
Mhm.
I just had a group presentation in this class I'm doing a project for, where I was trying to talk about a quote and it left me completely, just gone as soon as I tried to recall it.
Mhm.
So like I was sitting up there floundering, and it felt just like I felt when I was like, I would forget the fingerings for which note I was trying to play, or I would forget how to hold my embouchure to get that high note in the one song, you know?
Right.
So it's like, how did that struggle? Like you said, you can turn that stage right off. Brennan, you said it's something you still struggle with. How does that affect you in school? And like, not even in school, just like in life in general.
Yeah. So like that's funny that you mentioned that you had a group project today, because I also had a group presentation for my engineering class, and I still felt the same way. Like I still feel that like pressure, like almost like people are like judging your
Watch.
every like
Yeah.
action. But I don't know, to an extent it's better though, because
Ever
in
this zombie with
music
a sword.
there was a certain expectation that you were almost expected to meet, but in my presentation today, like the expectations were significantly lower. Like, this is freshman engineering. they weren't really expecting much.
But
So I think it's similar but different in a way.
so do you feel like being exposed to that high stress made you deal with like lower stress better, like low stress situations, like
Build a
just
tolerance.
simple
well,
project?
When you put it that way, I actually think I might I think I might be a little more tolerant to lower stress environments, but
Why? Sorry.
simply because of all of the experiences I've had with the higher stress
Mhm.
environments.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's something that you can reach into your back pocket, and when you're giving a speech to a lecture hall, you can just remember, yeah, I played a kick-ass solo for Allstate, or I did this
Mhm.
thing and I've had this experience. I can say 50 words and be done with it, like easy
Right.
peasy. Yeah.
But in the same way, it's like I'm trying to think of like a comparison. Don't be near that. Well, I just told you.
Oh my gosh.
The best part, all that is on video too. That's hilarious. But yeah, like when you think about it, I after dealing with that kind of stress, I literally don't even bat an eye. Like half the time, I am the first person to talk in those group projects. And yeah, I like I said, I still deal with that like fear and like that I'm trying to think, the fear of failure. But I feel like in my entire life, not even just with music or school, just like talking to people, like if we think about how shy we used to be in middle school versus like how outgoing I am now in college, like the second day I literally walked around my floor with people I had just met and we were like talking to random people asking if we could tour their, I'm gonna stop that, asking if we could tour their room. Stop. But yeah. Yeah, how do you think music will play into your lives? We just talked about how it's not very prominent. We just talked about how music isn't very popping in mine and Brennan's life. It's still going for you. How do you think you're gonna build on your relationship with music as we continue college? With all these new peoples, new experiences, new hobbies, even. Like
Yeah.
my main thing, I used to be the music kid. Now people know me as like the guy who likes cars.
Mhm.
You know?
That's interesting.
Yeah, so not really by coincidence because it's my choice, but to stay in shape for marching band during the off season. Yes, I'm going to
Yeah.
do the whole run and diet stuff. But I'm also going to be taking up fencing.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that. Fencing.
Yeah.
Trained in all forms of combat.
Yeah, so when I'm writing the score for the music, I can also teach the actors how to kill each other. It should be great.
Yeah, that's actually, and you can take those emotions you feel
Yeah.
and like put
yeah.
them on the page. I think for me, I realized it's made me realize now that I don't have an excuse to play music. Like I don't have a driving reason. It has to be my choice to continue. You know?
Right.
Like, and it's all of our choices how much we decide to keep playing music. Like I play literally just when I have extra time. It's not even something I like actively choose to do. It's like if I have nothing better to do, I'll play a little bit of the trumpet. Like I'll go sit in the bottom of the stairwell at Taylor Place and like hear as I or like listen to the different tones and pitches, and honestly it's just seeing how much my skills have diminished as I struggled to hit a high A yesterday.
I feel that.
Yeah. It's like we all get to choose how much we want music in our lives. Dalen has decided this is his passion. This is what he loves to do. And he's reflecting that by studying music, going on to like make it his career. Brennan, I don't know like what your whole situation is, but you've decided you needed a break. You've been playing nonstop 24/7 basically for 12 years now.
Mhm.
So it's almost
Yeah.
freeing. And it's like when I think of that, I think of how I can, it's not just music I get to choose anymore, like everything is a choice to me. I can choose how much I want to work, how much I want to drive. I can choose what I want to do for school, how I want to do it. It's like, not only is this a new chapter for music, but it's a new chapter in life.
Yeah, that's very well said.
Do you have any thoughts about that?
I think that things come and go in your life as they need to. And if music has impacted you now, maybe it will again. But if it doesn't need to, then I hope that you've had a good time.
Yeah.
I hope it's.
And I'm going to hold on to all the friends I've made along the way as well. But
Exactly.
Exactly.
yeah.
we've talked a lot about like how music helped us make friends, how it helped us in school, how it hurt us in school with like focus and time management and stuff. Do you guys think music was like overall, how has music influenced your life? Has it been positive or negative
Positive.
in the net?
I would say definitely positive. Even though like despite like the stage fright or whatever, I would say that music is definitely one of those things where it's kind of hard to have a negative experience with it. It's like it's one of the things that allows you to express yourself, and it's one of those things that is like it's never going to change. Like people aren't going to
No.
people aren't going to wake up one day and decide that they hate music, or that they don't ever want
Go ahead, keep going.
that they don't ever want to like be involved with music ever again. Like that's just not how it works. In my opinion, it's one of the few things that like makes us human, you know. So I can never hate something like that. I can only kind of want to take a break from it just for a little bit. But it's still in my life, even right now. I have my piano back in my room, and I play that regularly. So
Nice. Yeah.
it's not leaving my life. It's just taking a short break.
Yeah, no. Dalen, how do you think music has influenced you, negative or positive?
Positive for my life and negative for my bank account.
Yeah.
Um,
God damn.
it's
Now you gotta die.
unfortunately very expensive, just to have these college classes and do what I love. I'm
Mhm.
fortunate to have super supportive parents, that are willing to help me out, and I think that ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, that no matter what happens, I'll always have music.
Mm.
I think that goes for all of us.
I think, yeah, it's for sure has had a positive influence on me. Like just how I talk to people now, you know?
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think music's affected the people around you? Like you said, you're supportive, your parents are supporting you as you decide to continue. Brennan, how have your parents been since you decided to take a break? I know that they're the ones who originally put you into music, you know?
Right. They were definitely supportive, or they were definitely a little sad, like when I first started taking a break, just because they know it's my passion. And they hate to see me like kind of like not do what I'm passionate about. But sorry, I'm just watching you guys right now.
Okay, I think, yeah. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, like watching you lose like that spark you had as a kid.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Fuckers. Stop. Continue talking.
But as time went on, they definitely were more supportive of my choice taking a break, because they understood how stressful it was on me.
Yeah, that's good.
So
Yeah, I think for me personally, music has been an overall positive influence on my life. Just how I handle situations, how I talk to people, how I deal with stress, how I deal with confrontation, conflict. I think, and like even now, music, while I might not be playing it, it's still a big part of my life. You know,
exactly.
like getting into new music, listening to music. I just wrote a whole paper on how listening to music while studying can benefit you. So like while I may never have that passion to like be the musician, like I don't know if that's ever going to be the same as it once was. I definitely still have that love for music, you know. Yeah, music, it's not about how, yeah, fuck you. It doesn't matter how your relationship is with music. I think it's hard to have a negative relationship with it, you know? Like no matter how involved you are with it, whether you're playing it, listening to it, composing it, like music always affects people for the better, you know?
Right.
Like I don't really know anyone who would say they wish they had played less music in their life, or they wish they had listened to like less songs. They wish they had listened, like they wish they hadn't heard that artist. They wish they hadn't experienced his like type of music, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah. So basically, I just want, the whole purpose of this podcast is I want people to know more about music, and I want them to know how it can affect you and how it affects people around them, you know? I feel like right now that stigma is going away, where like, oh my God, he plays the trumpet, he's a nerd, or I
Yeah.
don't ever want my kid to be in the marching band. I want them to be the quarter of the football team, you know? I just watched the new Halloween movie. Me and Brendan saw it together. The bullies were not like your typical jocks. They were band kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Oh, how relevant.
I want this. I don't want the stigma of like playing music will make you awkward. If you're a band kid, you're antisocial, you can't succeed in life. I want people to understand how good music can be for them and how much it affects people and changes them throughout their lives. Because if I went back to 5th grade me, not even 5th grade, 4th grade me, at that little music fair that the school held, where we could try different instruments, if I walked back to him as he first picked up a trumpet, I think he would be proud of the person he saw. And that's because of music, you know?
Right.
And to your point, I think the best thing to do is to pick up an instrument, pick up singing or piano or whatever, because it's never ever too late. There's so many. The new stigma now, I think, is wow, he's so freaking amazing. I could never do that. It's just practice.
Like,
Exactly.
I'm still learning the French horn.
Yeah.
I can't play that thing for jack. But it's
And French
the
horn is
ability to
freaking
learn.
ridiculously hard, but you're still doing it.
No, like, it's oh my
Yeah.
god, it's the worst thing I've ever tried to do.
It's the most difficult instrument, hands down.
I fell in love with the worst instrument to learn. But I love it, and I want other people to love it as much as I do. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm really glad you guys took your time and had this conversation with me. And I think it's an important conversation. And I think it's a conversation that more people need to have about how music affects them, how music education benefits them throughout their lives.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope we can do this again.
Episode 2, 2023. Be there, buy tickets. We need to sell out a
Oh my fucking god, I thought I wasn't recording for a second. I almost cried. Oh my god. I would have shot myself in the head. Thank Jesus Christ.
My brain was fried. I'm so sorry. I wasn't into those questions.
Yeah.